Captain Sinclair. I hope your ship is well. That only Jolly Roger has been through hell. Yo ho, on an adventure we go. In the heat digital high seas, we travel with ease until we reach the outer edge and freeze. The Arctic chill like a very steep hill through the darkness led by our will. Yo ho, on an adventure we go to beyond the outer limits of society, broadcasting the reality. The pirates will always steal the show. From WP on the end, you know. Yo ho, on an adventure we go. Dock our vessels in the Stoneport Harbor. No land lovers will fight for you harder. Your old first mate went AWOL after a drinking kill haul. The legacy of pirate radio is strong. I hope our mates will come along. The changes we seek may not be long. That is why I wrote this song. And we go ho ho, on adventure we go.
Welcome everybody, friends, folks, foes, and fellow pirate mateys, to our weekly edition of World Pirate Radio News. It's show segment number 326. I'm your host, as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder. WPRPN.com is the website we will draw your attention to. Sign up is free. All you simply need is a username, password, and email address. Be sure as well to take a look and check out the show description end of things. A lot of really great, useful URLs, social media links, and the likes for anyone who is interested in staying in the loop, as it were. Whole host of various network-related items, not least of which, of course, is our Patreon presence. You can sign up for free. We do things over there on a per-item basis. So you start by just signing up for free, and if you're so inclined, support us for $1 per item. That's the weekly World Pirate Radio News multimedia package, and 50% of which, 50 cents, goes directly back to charity. So hashtag WWRHD, what would Robin Hood do? How could you ever possibly go wrong? We have a merchandise available online as well through galacticfire.com, Teespring, TeePublic, and just a whole host of other ways that people can help us out if they appreciate the content that we produce. Encourage everyone, as always, to think outside the box and have at it, folks. Liking, commenting, sharing, remembering to hit subscription notification buttons. Hopefully by now, regular listeners should know the routine. And passing word on to friends, family, and co-workers. It all very much helps to improve our presence via the interwebs. Get our content out to a wider, more directly engaged audience. So, all right, on with the show. And a handful of co-host friends, guest commentators we have scattered out here across the world via Coquitlam, British Columbia. Yvonne Malfont returning once again. Sonia Galactic out of Phoenix, Arizona. And Alberta, Canada, Christian Laterre. So I think that's about all we have on board at present. Although, if I'm not mistaken, just looking at what we've got going on here currently, it appears as if sweaty old Yvonne doing his weekly. I guess I'm not sure if he does it on a weekly basis, but just with the routine that he has in place, it seems when we go live with the show, um, he's busily exercising his ass off via Coquitlam at one of the local gyms. So maybe he's had to duck out and hit the showers. But welcome to Christian and Sonia. Did I say Sophia a little earlier? No.
Nope.
Okay. Yeah. I used to razz you over your name
Yeah.
when we first
Okay.
when we first kicked things off here a number of months ago. But how are things going? How's Phoenix looking? And then over, I guess, to Christian out of Alberta. Hot? Humid?
It's very hot out here for sure. Yeah. Like 105, 10, every day.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah. And as far as like what's happening, nothing that I know of. But then again, I don't get out much. So,
Yeah, okay. Que pasa?
so
Is that what the Spanish
yeah.
say? Que pasa?
Yeah, I think so. Mm-hmm.
You don't. There's a pretty
I don't really know.
significant Spanish American
Yeah.
community, isn't there, in Phoenix?
Yeah. Like, yeah, there's like a tortilleria, like in every corner kind of thing.
Oh yeah. You
Mhm.
just never bothered to learn too much Spanish.
Well, Jessica is kind of, shacked up with a Mexican dude.
That
So I learned a little bit of it. Yeah. And so does she.
that's
She's quite
your
fluent
daughter.
now. Yes, my daughter. Yes.
Uh-huh.
So, mhm.
Shack.
Yeah. So there's that.
How do you feel about that,
Huevos?
anyways? Huh?
Her being shacked up, or her
Well,
being
shacked up
with
with
a Mexican.
with a spick. I mean, come on, one of
With
those
a spick, oh
with
my
those
God.
wetbacks. Maybe actually spick, and maybe your daughter Jessica will have to rename herself Span. How about that? Spick and Span.
Well, she probably is the span part of
Yeah.
it anyway.
I don't even know
But
where does that spick thing come from, anyways. I have
it's
no
very
idea.
derogatory, I believe. It's pretty derogatory.
What does it mean?
for-
I don't even know what it means.
I'm
It's
not
just-
sure where it derives from.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is pretty derogatory. So
We'll
thanks
have
for
we'll
adding
have to
that
we'll have to use it.
colorfulness to
We'll
the
have to use it
show.
more often. Clearly.
Oh
So-
my! I
Yeah.
don't think that's a really good idea. But
And then wetbacks. I just learned this the other day that the way that all came about. You might even told us about that. Is that right?
I think I did. Yes, I
How
think I did.
swimming
I learned that when I
across
was younger.
the Rio
Because I was
Grande.
8 years old, and I was 8 riding on my bike that I found, 10-speed. It was great, but and I was really like ghostly white when I was a kid, and another kid called me a wetback while I was driving down the street. So when I got home, I asked my grandma, I'm like, "What is a wetback?" So that's how I kind of got interested in what was going on with that particular word. But yeah, so yeah, that's derogatory as well. So I don't know if you want to, go forward with that whole thing, but
I
but
don't
yeah.
know.
So as far as how I feel with about my personal, situation with my daughter, that's her decision. She's very well, actually, I was gonna say she's very happy. She is, but there's the normal. Actually, I could film them or record them going back and forth. It would probably get like lots of views because
Uh,
it's hilarious.
I
It's
hope
like a
well,
sitcom or something.
they're not on the verge
So,
of killing each other, are they?
um, maybe.
Oh no.
Sometimes it seems like it, but they're very comedic about it. So
Oh,
it
I
works out.
see.
The
Okay.
baby's there and they have a great time. He's such a lucky kid to have both of his parents there like that. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
really sweet. Yeah. So
So,
it's working out. Yeah.
so they get to get married, tie the knot.
I don't know. Marriage is just a legal document. You know what I mean? Like if
Well,
someone's on life support, do you want to like take them out or something? It's really that's all it is. Hand fasting is something that I definitely would prefer if it's something like that, which is just like a little ceremony
you don't mind
celebration type
having
thing.
a little bastard for a grandson?
I don't see things that way, so no.
Do you know where the word
It's
comes?
not.
Do you know
I
where
mean,
the word?
come on,
Do you know where the word bastard
come
comes from?
on.
Huh?
No, I don't.
I'm
I
just
don't
trying to
think I
get.
do.
I'm trying to see
Where does
how
it come
much it's
from?
going to take to have you
Oh,
just
to
to
have
get
me.
under your skin. So
Oh, is
no,
that what you're trying to do? Oh,
you
wow,
you
that's
you
very
didn't
nice.
you didn't pick up
We're
on
supposed
that.
to be a
No,
team here.
I'm
It's like a
just
team thing.
I'm just taking the
Yeah,
piss. That's all I'm doing.
yeah. Usually
You
that's your route.
yeah. So
Yeah, mhm.
but looking at old Willie Nelson there on screen, and I wonder how
Yeah,
much how
yeah.
much
That's
longer he
it's
will be for the
it's
world.
really helping me to pick out an avatar picture for you on the website for sure.
Just pop my face onto Willie Nelson's
I
body.
was actually considering doing not Willie, but the captain kind of pictures that are on the website. I was considering taking if you send me a good picture, like whatever expression you want to make, I think that would be rocking, as opposed to just some dude who's AI that we don't know, or somebody we don't know that posed as a captain of a ship or whatever. So
I'm not.
yeah,
The thing is, I'll have to talk to the captain. He's a pretty.
yes,
That I thought
maybe you
that
should do
was the
that.
face that who we've been seeing to this point. It has been Captain Sinclair. We've never met him personally.
Right. Well, I mean, then maybe you should get in touch and figure it out
Right.
so we can get this boat on the road or kind of thing.
Well, we're out on the road. I don't think is where we want to be so much as sailing
You
out
know,
across these high,
boat
often all
to
too
get it
intrepid digital
like onto the
seas.
sea, like launch it to the sea, whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
All
Why are
right.
you gonna make me
Enough of a. Yeah, that's
okay? All right.
the
Moving on.
train wreck of the. Yeah. Whatever just occurred there exactly, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I know
Right.
I'm almost entirely to blame, so I fully accept any.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, just trying to
On to
get it, just
Christian
trying
now.
to do what it takes to get into your skin. It's not too effective though, unfortunately. So I guess you win.
Yeah.
Okay,
All right.
Christian out of Alberta. How comment ça va?
Ça va bien.
All right,
How
man.
Yeah, it's going good here. Like quiet. Yeah, the same old thing here. Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed though. Of the news today and like for Epstein and stuff like that. Like that's a shock. Like like to see all
Well,
like Epstein and Didi like at the same time, the same week. That's a joke. Like that's kind of insulting for
that's the legal
the kids that
system.
went through this. Like,
Yeah, that's the
yeah,
legal system, though, isn't it? There's no
yeah,
justice. There's very little justice. You may have already experienced all too often, directly yourself.
yep,
Very little justice to the legal system. So let's not fall into the trap of ever referring to what the trap, as it is, yeah, that they've laid out for us profane, that there's just a minimal, marginal amount of justice to the legal system, unfortunately. But at the same time, there may have been some behind the scenes. There is some speculation that what has happened is, now it could be true or not, but just behind the scenes negotiations, where the deep state is going to basically back off of Trump and let him, be able to more freely get his agenda through and implement what he
If
seeks to
it's
do
his
and accomplish.
agenda,
Pardon me?
if it's his agenda,
Uh,
because like I think he's like with the
well,
he's with them. Like looks
yeah,
like it.
you can see it that way. That's I understand, but I think a more peaceable world, less war, for example. Just keep an eye on the Middle East. Was it Ehud, uh, uh, the former Israeli prime minister? Oh, jeez, Ehud Yabak. There's a picture of him outside, kind of sneaking, creeping into Epstein's Manhattan, you know,
Yeah,
residence.
mention.
Yeah, like that's just one example. And people talk about, well, the client list. Well, I mean, it's a question of, I think, really, it's like, well, who are the Johns? It's that's all. That's all. There were who frequented his residence and who spent time. See, these are underage prostitutes, like it or not. Like, and there might have been some genuine full blown pedophilia
Yeah,
activities taking place as well too. Wouldn't surprise me in the least. I don't know. I'm not enough of an expert in the area. There have been those allegations made, and it wouldn't surprise me. In fact, isn't there that one story you may have heard, either of you, surely some of our listeners have, that for his, what was it, 60th birthday, I think, was it, Epstein himself was presented with, he had a pair of twins, or like three young underage 12-year-old girls presented to him for his birthday, some sick thing like that. So, and that's with the Alan Dushwitz, as I refer to him so ever so affectionately. Uh, that he was present. It was like it was a really small affair, a really intimate gathering, I guess is how the story goes. And Lex Wexner as well was present for this intimate gathering. Um, they hired this one songwriter who he's come out on the record to talk about it, actually, and say quite openly who was there. And I'm not sure if you saw the young girls, and that was the one who sort of blew the whistle, as it were, on the whole incident. But I can't remember the songwriter's name. He was some sort of mucky muck, capable songwriter that just put together a sort of just a silly happy birthday song for good old Jeffrey. But to think that, to think, unless Wexner, he used to be, I'm not sure if he still is or not, but is Victoria's Secret even, is it still around, Sonia? Have they gone
Yeah,
under now? It's still around?
I think they're still around. Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah, it's a great brand name. They have a great, with, sexy women's lingerie and all that kind of good stuff,
Right.
undergarments, as they're known, like, and
Teddies, panties.
right, Victoria's Secret. What I mean, Victoria's Secret. Good. That's catchy. Bob Dylan.
Right.
back in the day, they got, I'm not sure what it took, probably enough money, obviously, Dylan to offer one of his songs that he recorded a number of years ago called Lovesick. I think it's called Lovesick. Yeah, I'm sick of love. Love sick. And I think even it appeared in the video. So, and this is just a number of years before everything broke wide open with everything that we've seen come, to the surface subsequently. So, yeah, one of our guys, in fact, one of our friends, a super soldier fellow who's he's gone dark now for the last little while. He'll probably be back at some point, time of his choosing when he feels comfortable in doing so. But he has been engaged in all sorts of really, well, multiple firefights and all sorts of activities that whole number of levels in Afghanistan and beyond, on the home front as well. So, but he talked about there was one job that he looked into being hired by Wexner, and he showed up at his place in I think it's Ohio, and there's all these men, middle-aged older men, and hanging around, kind of lounging around the swimming pool with what appeared to him to be younger, underage boys. And he didn't take the job, obviously. He was like a security sort of detail type affair, and just the whole vibe was not right at all. It was just creepy in a real big way. So, but there's more I was going to add to that actually too. Maybe I have to come back and cap things off. I don't know. Is there anything more that either of you care to add other than
I'll add something.
Yeah, of course.
Christian now has a new website, which is quite exciting. For people to sign up as of right now to get book updates. Yeah, it's terror@montauk.com. Yep.
Thanks.
Are you?
You're welcome.
You talked about. Okay, so this is to get him booked onto other people's shows. Is that right?
No, it's just for his book. So once it comes out, that's where the platform he's going to use to sell it, right, Christian? I'll let him take over here.
Yes, Jethro, it is Kaiser that we're referring to, and he was on our show, and he was quite open and upfront about that. So he connected with us here.
Oh, okay.
I'm just referring to the comment section. Right now.
I see.
Yeah. So over on YouTube, Jethro dropping in. He's usually a little not so quick to the punch, as it were, but good to have him on board at this opening portion of the show. We're going to run for probably a little more than 2 hours, just based on the way the teams clock. They cut us off every 60 minutes is all you're able to. It's a 60-minute segments here, and then they shut you down. So that's why Jitsi is just, I don't know. I kind of, this is okay doing it this way too, because then we know that we have no other choice but to transition to the commercial blurb end of things, the show's sponsors, as it were. So, but yeah, he's been on a couple. He's just dropped in, here and there over the last year or so. So, Super Soldier Shuff is how we refer to him. But there we go. And David Wilkes, what is he saying? You're a little behind everyone else. Cool. What? You're a little behind it. just like everyone else, that's Cool Hansen's operation. It's going to be the biggest thing. Remember Back to the Future? Oh, I see. Okay. So Trump is with me, says David Wilkes. I'm not sure what that means. I don't know. I don't know. If they're sitting together right now, or if he's alleging that Trump supports him, or I have no idea. So, David, you have to come on the show and sort of lay it all out for us here so that our listeners can hear what you have to offer. Thomas Pascal, welcome. Yeah, good to see you, my friend. And for anyone else out there whose comments we may have missed just with the opening portion to things, you might want to share them once again so that we can see what it was that you were trying to get across to us, because you may have got just chopped off there the first few minutes or so. But PETA, it's going to be the biggest thing. PETA, what is that? That's the animals' rights group, isn't it? Do you know, Sonia, you know about PETA, don't you? What does that stand for?
I'm not sure. I can find out here.
Look it up, I guess. Yeah.
Yep.
So, something dead, LW toast. Not sure what that means either. Too much code. I just don't. I'm not good with code usually. So people, you need to spell it out for us. But good to see Sonia covering all the bases here. She knows what to do, how to.
I got you.
Help manage things and keep an eye on. By the way, over on
People for the ethical treatment of animals. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay. So like well, they've got a point too. When if you find the likes of the way Fauci was conducting those horrific experiments on dogs, with seeing having their heads locked inside these cages so that flies could eat their faces.
They've got a ring to them as like an NGO kind of thing, though.
What's that?
Like
PETA?
They have like an NGO kind of vibe going on. They're probably corrupt, like a lot of them.
Well, they are. They're radical, excessively radical, a little too much overboard.
Yeah.
All right. So, have both of you had a chance yet to check out the? Oh, and welcome to Roger Hansen.
Yes.
Make sure everyone takes a moment or two to take a look. We can pull this up on screen too. The talking points of the week as they are. Roger Hansen, why don't we hear from you here just before we transition over to show description.
Hello.
Roger.
I heard you guys talking about sex.
Of course you
did.
You
jumped on.
Yeah, he's got to be here. That's right.
Something about being sexually repressed and having a dysfunction or something like that.
Your name didn't happen to come up within the context of things, did it?
No, it didn't.
Oh, I could have swore it did.
It had something to do with like a Buddhist monk that had to use ED pills because.
What?
Yeah.
No,
that's what I heard. That's what I heard.
I think you're listening to somebody else's live stream. So, anything you can just quickly share with us? Breaking news, any hot takes via.
When you guys were talking about Weinstein, I mean,
Epstein.
The only thing I can say, Epstein, yeah. The only thing I can say on that is did you expect anything less though? To be honest.
What do you mean?
Like, do you really expect that any information was going to come out, or they were going to cover it up?
No.
I mean,
yeah, of course not. Especially if Trump's implicated in any way.
Well, Trump was 100% involved in all that crap. everybody says, well, it's just one photo. Well, one photo is enough. You know what I'm saying?
I don't I don't know about the one photo. It was the one plane. It was the one plane flight, basically, where I think he borrowed. See, Epstein had a couple of planes,
Well, he
and
had a picture of them together with a crap load of girls hanging on his arm and everything,
There's
too.
over 50 pictures of Epstein and Trump together. Over 50, I think like 60
yeah,
something, like are circulating.
right.
So like they're good buddies. Like, that's for sure.
Up into a point they were,
Mhm.
they were, and then he'd had enough because just he felt that Epstein overstepped the line, allegedly having something to do with the treatment of one of is a young female employee at Mar-a-Lago, or one of his friends' daughters who was at Mar-a-Lago, something to that effect, and they were never on good terms from that point. So that was it. So and as I mentioned on Robert Morningstar's show, the Morningstar Report, just yesterday, they he Epstein, like I said, he overstepped the line. Trump was very upfront. Trump got approached, I think it was by the FBI, and he's like an open book. He's like, sure, what do you want to ask? Not a problem. Whereas these others that were implicated in various related matters and they were approached to be questioned, they they totally stonewalled them. Trump was the only one, is how the story goes. You can fact check me on that, but that's the story that I've heard. Then nobody has provided me with anything to the contrary. So if they can, fine. If there were other, in other words, if there were other cooperative parties that were implicated that were approached by the FBI for questioning, and this
Well,
is on the,
that goes back to what I was saying, though. I mean, you'll never find that kind of information out, even if you did look for it. So, I mean, do you expect anything? I mean, it's you're never going to hear about that. It's kind of like JFK's
yeah,
assassination.
yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah. They'll put it under like lock and key for the next 75 years. That's right. I was just thinking about that yesterday. So, Jimmy Swaggart, Loretta Swit, Bill Moyers all recently passed away, and magician Wayne Dobson of the UK, who many might not know of, but I think he came down with cerebral palsy or Parkinson's or something. Wayne Dobson. He was quite a character. Comedy magic, and he was a very really capable entertainer, and I really enjoyed his energy. So Godspeed to him, and Swaggart. He preached a lot regarding Jesus, and so on and so forth. So he's off to see, I guess, reconnect with his cousin Jerry Lee Lewis, and Mickey Gilley, all three of them. Having now transition. So Loretta Swit from suspected natural causes, which to me says, well, suspected. That doesn't say much, does it? It doesn't. There's nothing definitive in that. And that my first question is, well, how many of the experimental chromophore did she take? Probably more than one. So, Bill Moyers. Do you know Bill Moyers? Did anyone ever see his series with Joseph Campbell on The Power of Myth? Like it was what was it?
Nope.
It was not. What is that? Public PBS, I guess. PBS in America. PBS. Yeah, it's a really famous series.
Yep.
So, but do you know that before he grew to prominence as a media guy and broadcaster, documentary personality and the like, that he served in LBJ's, I don't know if he was cabinet. He might have been his press secretary, as a matter of fact, and was said to have been responsible, the one who was directly responsible, or at least gave the order, probably acting on the urges or demands of LBJ, to make damn sure that when Kennedy rode through Dallas, that bubble top protective cover and shield that they would have during rainy weather and the like, that it was not in place. It was not on the, I guess it was a Lincoln. I don't know the difference between Lincolns or Cadillacs. I don't think they're the same thing. So it was a Lincoln, pretty sure. But anyways, Bill Moyers, yeah. So takes that with him to his grave. Just as Dan Rather, forward and to the left, forward and to the left. And hey, well played, Dan. I think, yeah, you're in line for a promotion. Guess we don't even need to have any pedophilia related blackmail material on you. This is good enough. This will suffice. Yeah, forward to the left. Does everyone know that story with the way that Dan Rather reported on the Kennedy assassination? And this is before the Zapruder film found a national audience.
What happened?
Well, he just lied, basically. He just lied. Well, because Kennedy was shot in the right temple, and it was to the right and back and to the right. He did totally the opposite, so it made it look as if he'd been shot from behind. That was it, right? When he, as we all know, and by the way, Zapruder himself, Jewish Freemason, 32nd degree Freemason, who just happened to be standing there on the grassy knoll that day. And do you know that Kennedy's? Do you know who actually arranged to have Kennedy visit Dallas that day? It was the local chapter of the B'nai B'rith, which is another Jewish Freemasonic organization, very powerful, just corrupt through and through outfit. So actually, that I just heard the other day was apparently founded by one Albert Pike. Albert.
Wow.
Have you heard of Albert Pike? 3 World Wars?
It sounds really familiar, yeah.
You can look it up if you want. And if you look up Albert Pike, 3 World Wars, that's exactly where they're steering us right now, it seems, with the geopolitics, the grand, or maybe not so grand chessboard. Anyways, and playing around with planetary politics. So, but how about this? The Marcon's wife-husband, would it be a husband-wife or wife-husband? Brigitte, and the doctor who it said, confirmed to that Brigitte underwent gender-affirming surgery. I love the way that they spin that gender-affirming, rather than you're not taking something away, but you're affirming. So
yes,
it does that repression, gender repressive surgery. So found dead in what terrible fall from the 4th floor window in their Paris apartment. Similar to how, just could be a coincidence, one of those interesting coincidences. I'm not sure how much this favors Putin, in so much as it shows that anyone who he doesn't like particularly ends up dead. But there was a recent, I think it was a Russian transport minister that he recently sacked, is what the Brits say, got fired, and within just a few short hours was found dead near like in the vicinity of a park on the outskirts of Moscow, I guess. Details are a little sketchy, whether it was with a gun in his hand or near the body. Was he in the car, near the car? That sort of deal. So, anyways, yeah, and then the full minute of missing footage from the recent. How long did it take him to edit to doctor essentially that video? You know, the Epstein cell block video. Somebody has their mic on. They're not talking right now, so just hang on a second. You might want to mute yourself out. Make sure you take care of that. Thanks. Otherwise, you end up bleeding in. So, underwater volcanoes at work as always. Something a lot of these carbon cult fanatics never stop to think about: the acidification of the oceans and Japan's mega quake. They're on the, there's a lot of quake activity in Japan as of late. So things to, to take into consideration and to just, I guess, think about, reflect upon. We'll see what happens here. The axial seamount. Supposedly, they're down. ChatGPT is downplaying the impact or significance, even though there's hundreds of earthquakes that it will trigger. Maybe they won't be all that significant. Who's to say? Maybe just small little tremors, essentially. Texas flash flood. Did everyone hear how there was the cloud seeding that took place just 2 days prior? But it had, according to, once again, ChatGPT, it had nothing to do with the Texas flash floods. Even though the outfit, this is Peter Thiel, who's behind this Rainmaker company, by the way. And the guy who was actually instrumental in the cloud seeding was on the Sean Ryan show recently as well. People can, I don't know his name, but I did see him on the Sean Ryan show. If people have heard of that one, and they can look it up. So, young fellow with a mullet, I guess is how he's described, blonde-haired guy. And it's the same as Rainmaker. Hatfield, back in 1916. This young guy says, 1946. He's about 30 years, further on down the road from when things initially kicked off, as far as what I've been able to determine based on the small amount of investigation that I've done myself. And that was 1916 with Hatfield was a surname. I always, for whatever reason, forget his first name escapes me. People can look that up if they're so inclined. But there was a movie called The Rainmaker, starring Burt Lancaster. I've been trying to track down, get my hands on. Just cannot for the likes of me manage to do so. But Alex Jones talking about, this Willie Nelson, Bob Dylan concert being canceled because of weather conditions, and Willie out, I guess. Abbott, Texas, 4th of July picnic. Been doing that since 1973, I believe, as the story goes. There's a comment here regarding, a lot of people thinking that with Project Paperclip, it's just Nazi rocket scientists, but really what you rarely, if ever, hear about is how many who were brought over via the rat lines, and they were given new identities in the West, became very much active and involved, instrumental in helping to further develop the American Psychiatric Association. Christian might know about this a little more than myself and take something, personal interest given his backstory.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, it's not just the Americans, the Canadian too, like with Ewan Cameron and all. Like it's all like they're all linked, like from MK Ultra, like from it starts, I think, from the old Germans like that, and like like they transferred that, like it's not only like in America and Canada. Like I think they have like they took the monopoly of all the psychiatric hospitals everywhere in the world. Like just like I think like they're that was like their study place after Germany, like studying like so many patients that like no one asked questions or nothing about, and
Right.
easy for them. So
Yeah, I mean, sure. And why keep it contained to just one region or area? And under the auspices of the way that the CIA has been known to operate, even though they lie about that as well, like, oh no, yeah, sure, yeah, we have nothing to do with America itself. We can't do that. Rules of engagement or what have you. So it's, places like, Canada, that's totally fair game, not a problem, or other foreign countries. But yeah, that's so true, and just so horrific to think of the torture, the experimentation, and the terror, really, that they
the people go through,
exactly, that they were made to endure. So, all in the name of science. It's all about trust the science. Even if it's Nazi science, you got to trust that too, or if it's CIA sponsored, because they're the good guys and they love you. They really do. It's all for a good cause. So, yeah, it's really quite something. But anyways,
Actually making a video series called Weird Science. You'd be amazed with some of the stuff they're doing right now.
Such as
everybody's talking about AI and everything, how big it is, and that's nothing. They've actually started on biological intelligence now. They're incorporating neurons in a dish from a project they did called Dish Brain. And they took these neurons and they put them in this dish and they allowed them to grow. And then they taught them how to play a video game. They taught them how to play Pong.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're actually trying to create kind of like a same type of system as artificial intelligence, but they're using biological neurons to do it instead. The only problem is that they can't keep it alive for longer than 6 months.
And what is the point of all this?
They're wanting to combine human intelligence with computer intelligence, so that they can have a computer program that's biological.
That's interesting.
Would that be called synthetic intelligence?
Yep, and BlackRock is involved in all of that.
Well, what could possibly go wrong then, I guess, right?
They're a great organization that loves everybody and wants to do nothing but good things for them.
Big Daddy BlackRock. Yeah, and
that's what I heard too. So
what's that?
That they're a great organization and wants to do good for everyone.
Yeah, right.
They love us.
Yes, that's the word on the street.
Yeah.
They could not.
Well, that's what I heard too. So
they're clearly seems to be an agenda at work where they could not reduce and ultimately eliminate the human presence on this planet quickly enough. But in a humane, sort of ethical, as they see it, way. So it's like the boiling frog syndrome, I suppose. It's quietly euthanized through things like what Canada has, the MAID system. You know what that stands for, don't you? The MAID, Christian, in Canada.
No, I don't.
Murder
What does it
and,
stand for?
well, murder and instant death.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Is that what
Yeah,
it is
that's-
officially standing? Like, what does it officially represent?
Murder and instant death.
Really? That's like officially what they
Wow.
say?
They can
Or-
do whatever they want, man. It's the law.
Well, I know. I was curious as into what they isn't it called that though? I mean, besides, you know, the people calling it that. Is
That,
it supposed?
actually, that's the name that we came up with. We're pretty good with
Okay.
these, like
Okay.
different
Okay. Thank you.
slogans and
I got you.
not
Awesome.
anagrams, acronyms. Anagrams are fun to play around with too. You know what I mean? Like WPRPN. What? Does anyone know what that actually even stands for? WPRPN.
You already know that I know, so I will not answer this.
Okay. Anyone want to take a stab at it? No pun intended. Speaking of taking a stab at certain things, look, it's BB. Oh God, isn't he suffering from some really serious health issues? I think he is.
Not serious enough.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not serious enough. That's right. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Yeah, he's just got a lot of blood on his hands and total psychopath, full blown psychopath. He should. Why doesn't he just move back to Poland? Do you know that all these prime ministers, every single one of Israel's prime ministers has changed their name, their surname to make it sound more Hebraic, more Semitic?
Yeah, and
The-
they're all from countries that were allied from Nazis. So like,
Wow.
dig into it.
100,
Like,
yeah, but that's the thing is like, okay, yeah, in the Holocaust, who did it benefit? Israel? Hello, how can people be so stupid? It's like, who, first and foremost, who did it benefit? There's our first hour gone already. Can you believe it? That makes no sense. They cut us off. They cut us off like 10 minutes early, those bastards. Well, all right. Rather than delay any longer, I suppose we might as well dive headlong into things. Cue up the commercial blurb, promotional bit that we have here in support of Red Dragon Herbs and Teas. Reminder that with any order of $25 or more, you will immediately receive a 10% discount. All you simply have to do is let Ryan know one of two things, either simply Pirate Radio or Pirate Code, and their website, of course, as always, reddragonherbs.net. Meanwhile, over on the Cannasense Cannabis Collective front, 5813 is our referral code. That's 5813 5813. Each has a great selection of items, products to choose from. Let us know what you think. Let us know what your thoughts are. And how things manage to work out for you. We'll be back in just a few brief minutes here, folks. Do not touch that computer mouse or radio dial.
Medical cannabis is now legal by telemedicine. Get the medicine you need by getting reviewed for a medical cannabis card. Contactless appointments available at CannASense.com. For as low as $39, you can get reviewed for a medical cannabis card. That's CannASense.com for a licensed medical cannabis doctor review. CannASense.com has all the information you need to get connected with a doctor for a $39 medical cannabis appointment. CannASense.com. CannASense is common sense.
Catering exclusively to the Des Moines, Iowa area and beyond, Red Dragon Herbs and Teas is a small, family-owned business dedicated to the creation of only the finest quality artisan herbal tea blends. Drawing upon many of the world's most richly established customs and traditions, Red Dragon Herb's mission is about more than just getting their products out to the market. They also strive to help educate their customers on the wider benefits, history, and folklore of all their plants. Of course, any seasoned pirate knows when they're fixin' to tango with the Kraken, you best be powered up with at least one of the finest select quality premium items freely offered via Red Dragon Herbs and Teas wide inventory. Choosing from any of their caffeine-free headache relief or rest and relaxation blends, history has proven their products among the best sources of scurvy prevention and vitamin supplementation. Red Dragon Herbs and Teas, bringing you guaranteed homegrown health relief.
Red Dragon Herbs and Teas, bringing you guaranteed homegrown health relief. Welcome back, folks. We are here with the second segment portion of this week's live stream, episode number 326 of World Pirate Radio News. I myself, trusted host and companion, as always, the Robin Hood's Chief Communications Officer, Jappy Ryder, and hopefully we will be reconnecting with a handful of friends that we had on board here just a few moments ago. Sonia Galactic out of Phoenix, Christian Laterre, someone who calls Alberta, Canada home, and Roger Hansen, courtesy of West Frankfort, Illinois. Of course, there could be anyone else joining us as well. We're not overly sure. It's a random kind of crapshoot sort of deal. Who do we have there with us so far? We heard somebody connecting.
Man.
Hello. We got Alan here.
Oh, okay. Alan and Roger, and who else?
Ooh.
Chris.
Mm-hmm. Already. Is that Drigas? Is that? Oh, okay. That's Alan, not Mark. Oh, Alan Mosdale. Hey, Amosdale 777. Been a while.
Hello, guys. How you going?
Hey, pretty good.
Been a
Pretty
while.
good. Yeah. How's life down under treating you these days?
It's probably better than what it's like up top, I guess.
Okay.
Unless it's a flat Earth, then it's all pretty much the same.
You did what exactly?
Unless it's a flat Earth. Yeah, I don't really know. Well, I do know that I don't know.
That's true. That's the one thing we do know, if we think about it, isn't it? That we don't know. That's a good default position as well, I would say.
Yeah.
Just keeps us humble. So, already. And anything wider activity taking place out there was Zane Ivey. His most serious issue, says Zane, is psychopathy. I'm not sure who he's referring to. Hopefully not me. Hans Kamler, head of the secret projects, just disappeared after surrendering to Americans. Also, who's Hans? Have to look up Hans Kamler, people. Head of all secret projects, just disappeared after surrendering to Americans. He's probably worked building DOMs for you guys to put all his mates' laboratories in the rest of his life. Wow. I don't know who's Zane referring to his most serious issue of psychopathy? Was that Netanyahu or who exactly? Jethro saying he's a skip too. What's that? Skipper? Could be. How about that? That's pretty cool. I missed a P. What does it stand for? Oh, WPRPN, World Pirate Radio Podcast Network. A lot of people, they struggle with that one. It takes a bit, I don't know, I think it's got a nice ring to it. It just sometimes takes a while for it to click with them. So, but Alan, hey, let's hear from you, since we don't know how long we're going to have you, and how's life down in Australia? What's the latest in the news? Anything major to share or report on?
Nothing major, but a little news bit I realised the other day. They've been saying in the paper for about a week that the central banker type people, they were going to lower interest rates, right? So apparently the markets responded, and a lot of house prices went up, sort of thing. And then come the day, they didn't reduce the interest rate, so therefore their houses went up for no reason at all, just that they're making more money out of it. Isn't that really weird? That's why I see it anyway. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the little man getting screwed over again. Yeah. If you can afford to buy a house, that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck. No, they apparently the plan really is, with BlackRock playing a central role in things, to ultimately have as many people as possible renting forever.
Yeah.
That's the plan, Stan. So, yeah,
right.
It's something that we got to work to do what we can in pushing back against. Because who the hell wants to be renting all their life, So, well,
most people, I'm pretty sure that's all I'll be doing. I'll never be able to afford to buy a house. Early in my day, I was always riding motorbikes and having a bit of fun, sort of thing. I never really even thought about buying a house. It's a bit late now, though. Over 60 now, so bugger all gents now. So I went and bought myself a new motorbike.
You did?
Yeah.
What type? What are we looking at there?
Honda 750. But I always go for Hondas generally. V-twin type thing.
Oh, yeah.
Just a cruiser sort of thing. Yeah, I call it my mobility scooter.
Oh, Tom Cruise kind of thing, huh?
Yeah. Oh, it's sort of, back in the 80s, all the bike mobs started to copy Harleys and things like that, and well, they're still making them today, sort of thing. This bike is a 2004 model.
Yeah.
It cost me $4,000. That's okay.
All right. Money. Cool. Well, we want to see some pictures. That's all right. Okay. We want to see some pictures. Either now or later. Send them and we'll add them to the slideshow for upcoming shows. But I'm going to ask you something here. I'm going to both you and Christian, who I believe you're the two bike aficionados, okay? But it was years ago that Sonny Barger, he was like the former head of the Oakland chapter. That's kind of where it all got rolling, I guess, back in the day. And what he said is that he was dismissive of the Harley Davidson, the whole thing, and that I got a Harley, or Harley. He's I don't know what his exact comments were, but he said maybe something along the lines of maybe there's a lot of other really great bikes. They don't have to be Harleys necessarily. Yeah. I've always wanted an Indian. I've always wanted an Indian. Yeah. In fact, when I was in Canada during my younger days, I was lucky to had a good time. Wound up with a few. Yeah. Woke up with a bit of a headache usually, but got my Indians.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that. Some nice
Yes.
looking, there's some great looking native women for sure. But anyways,
Yeah, well, what sort of Indian are you talking about? The American Indians or the Indian Indians?
that's what I'm
No, it's
asking you.
something.
That's what I'm kind of playing around with. Yeah. So
Well,
Sonia
yeah.
she thinks it's slightly funny.
Well, I guess you are closer to India than you are the Indians.
Well, where I grew up, there was a lot of Indians. There was a lot of
Yeah.
Indians, native folks. So
And a lot of them
Yeah.
here in Australia now too. They all run all the service stations.
the Aborigines. Oh, from the ones from
Indians.
India.
Indian Indians.
What about
the American Indians?
and what about the Pakis?
Wow, is there a difference?
Yeah, they're two different
That's a bit
countries.
racist, I guess, but no. Yeah, they look the same. I can't really tell the difference. I've actually, in the past, I've worked with a couple, and actually, they're nice enough sort of people. Like,
Yeah,
They're good
they
and bad, they're
are.
all
They're
colours.
very. Pakistanis can
Yeah.
be very. It's like any look. Americans, they're not all wonderful people. It just depends. Canadians, Chinese. I prefer terms like Chinks, Japs. Here in Korea, they're the gooks. The Koreans are really the gooks because Hanguk, right? Hanguk. So, are we getting cut off? Oh, Jesus! But but I say this with tongue in cheek, and it's like we're Canucks. Americans are Yanks. This is
Yeah.
abbreviated. It's if I mean, who wants these long-winded? We got our communications ideally are supposed to be concise and to the point. So, Chinks, Gooks, Japs, Canucks, Yankees.
Yeah.
Yanks. What are you guys called? You guys are Aussies.
Aussies.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
is that seen as some racial slur or something?
No. Everyone,
Yeah.
Aussie, come from the land of Oz.
White
whatever,
guys,
sort of,
white
yeah.
guys, crackers. That's a good one. Crackers, redneck crackers. That's not even offensive. How's that offensive? I don't
Yeah, I've
know.
never-
So.
Never heard that over here. Yeah, just Aussies. Just the Aussie bloke. That's what I am, sort of generally.
Yeah.
I just chucked a picture in the chat of on my bike.
I see. That's
Yeah,
what.
yeah.
Okay. That's what the pinging is about there. So, is there anything more you're going to say then about just the bikes or Pakistan-run gas stations or the latest
Well,
news from London, Adelaide?
no, not really. That's pretty much it for the moment. Yeah.
How's DK doing?
Oh yeah, he's still doing his show. He does a show on Sunday that's turning out quite good actually. He sort of he does a sit down show, picks a subject. Normally has a guest on here and there, and I've been on his show once.
Well,
twice,
actually,
and
speak of the devil. There he is, right there. I see him he's in the chat area there. So
yeah, he's actually re-hosting your show at the moment, I think.
so that's simulcast kind of syndication.
Yeah,
He's syndicating our content. That's great. Appreciate it. So
Yeah.
Zane Ivey saying that he just watched Tim Pool, Mike Cernovic discussing the latest FBI Trump administration fiasco. Mike even went alien on the issue. What, that aliens caused the Epstein verdict to go to render nothing. I know. Aliens absconded with all the files. Because the FBI, if you notice, has a real bad track record and history of files and evidence going missing. A lot of UFO related items too, like regarding Rendlesham, the Rendlesham Forest incident, Roswell, many other. It's like time and again. It's like whoopsie. The telemetry tapes, I guess, is what they're known. With the Apollo missions, visitation to the moon, same kind of deal. So anyways, if you could maybe just explain a little further what you mean by going alien on the issue. Does that mean like going off the reservation? It could just some slang term. I don't know. Yeah, not all of us Americans are Yanks. Yeah. What are the See, I didn't know this. Canadians, a lot of people don't know this, but south of the Mason Dixon line, Dixon or Mason Dixie line, got to be Mason Dixon line, I guess. But yeah, don't use it down south. You probably get punched out. That's right. Even people that don't know. But so, what are Southerners called? They're called Southerners, rebels. I don't know. That's a great Tom Petty song. I love that one. Rebels. So, wogs call us Aussies. What's a wog? What's a wog, Alan? Are those the Aboriginals?
No, a wog.
Yeah.
Originally, when I was growing up, that was used to describe like Greeks and Italians and things like that. But actually, supposedly means Western Oriental gentleman.
Oh, why is that such a problem? I've heard you don't say that. Can't say that.
You turn it down.
Why? Western
Oriental gentleman.
Well, that's kind of a contradiction, isn't it? It means like mixed mongrel race. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Well,
wogs were just people from overseas, basically. And technically, I was a wog because I was from overseas.
But you're not Oriental, are you?
No. Yeah, that's just one term of what wog means. I think I'm pretty sure there's others, but
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was brought up for it to mean, and yeah, well.
Do you know the opposite?
Everything's west.
And by
in a globe Earth, everything's west of the Orient.
How does that work again? I couldn't quite make that out.
Well, everything west of the Orient,
right?
If it's a globe Earth, is everybody else. Western Oriental gentleman.
Okay.
It's a play on words.
Okay,
you
good
just
stuff. What's the opposite?
You just muted yourself, did you?
Come again?
No, you sounded like you looked like I saw your lips moving, but I couldn't hear you talking. Might be a glitch somewhere.
Oh. Can you still hear? Are my lips still moving?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's sort of. It might be just. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, I'm multitasking at the moment, so I hope everyone can hear me. So
that's part of the job, isn't
it?
What's
the opposite of Oriental? And by the way, let's not forget Black Sabbath.
Eastern Oriental?
Black Sabbath, the last of the last, other than Ozzy maybe recording some music in studio. So it's terrible what he's been struck down with. What's the opposite of Oriental? It's our value-added content for the week, folks. In case you haven't quite got your money's worth yet, this will be it. Trust me. It's Occidental. Yeah. See, because the Orientals, they were the ones who first penned, they were the ones who originated world languages from Babylon onwards. So the Orientals, they were fine, but these others, they were Occidental in their creation, right? Like it's like accidental, get it? But this is with an O, Occidental. So
it sounds like a dental tool.
We are the Occidentals. That's right. I mean, we are the wrong-toothed.
Yeah. Well, I got to say about mine. I got a couple left, but they're all.
But you're just a one-toothed.
Yeah. Oh, there's more than one, but it's only one you can see.
Alan, one-tooth. What's your surname?
Mosdale.
All right, Alan One-Tooth Mosdale. There you go. I love it. That's cool.
It sounds like a pirate name, doesn't it?
That it kind of does. That's why I guess we just came up with that one. So sure. All right. So any other comments, folks? Sonia, you can see out there. Have we had any digital love come our way? Perhaps. Has anyone?
Roger.
Okay. And let's not forget. Look, we don't do super chats. YouTube has cut us off. They've kneecapped us. So we do rely and depend on our listeners to help us out through PayPal and other means. Yeah, it's great if you can help share the links and leave comments and subscribe and all that other good stuff. But PayPal, the purchase of merchandise, we'll bring up the merch here one more time. Each and every show we should do this, I guess, just to let people see what we're looking at and what great work Sonia has done here for us and many others via her website, galacticfire.com. She has a store set up and everything. So it's just a pretty much one-click kind of deal, and you're in. And you got, the t-shirts, coffee mugs so far. Hopefully we can add to the selection at some point. But look at those great designs. Take a peek at our treasure chest. That's perfect for the wife. Probably not daughters, but perfect gift for the wife and girlfriends or what have you. So these other two more male oriented in their character, and there you go. So with all a whole number of related links at the bottom. Prices, I think the coffee mugs once again, Sonia, what, $12, $13? Is that right?
No, they're $11.11.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
11.
11.
Does that
Every time I look at the clock, it's 11.
Does that include shipping?
No, it does not.
How much is added to shipping?
I think it's around $5, maybe less.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay. And are there any discounts for multiple, like purchase of multiple items?
Only on shipping. They do discount shipping. Yeah, if you get more than one item, then of course it's way cheaper that way. Yeah.
To get several items, you save on shipping, definitely.
Yes.
Great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
COD? Do you guys do COD?
That's cash on delivery.
No, there's no COD as of right now.
Does anyone do that
these days?
I know, right?
Does it always have to be a competition? Yeah, that's a great point. What's with the crown thing? Well, isn't that what Corona means? So, yeah, competition. I don't know. I've never been a competition. I tend to shy away from competition. It's just generally I find like too much ego involved. But have at it, people, if that's what floats your boat. Sure. And if you're skilled in a particular area, why not? Go for it. Try, you got to try to excel, try your best.
Yeah, but... I like my lawn bowls, but I'm not very competitive. We have had the singles championship on the other day, and it was the first round, and I got beaten the first round. I always get beaten the first round. I like to call myself a first round specialist.
So you got in first round, you got beat off your lawn balls.
Yeah, lawn balls. Yeah. They're playing with balls, remember that?
Yeah, you got beat off
your balls.
Beat off your lawn balls.
Yeah. Beat
Roger
off
can
balls.
clear this up.
You always have to take it to the gutter, don't you?
I mean, it's just, you
it's
got that.
good fun.
Yeah, actually, he's saying bowls. I believe it's like a
bowls.
Like because you're bowling, you're lawn bowling.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Lawn balls.
Nothing to do with balls. It's just because he doesn't speak proper English that we make fun of him.
I speak Australian English.
Yeah,
Australian.
he speaks WOG.
Australian.
He speaks.
Yeah, he speaks WOG.
I love it.
Yeah.
Living out in the bush with all those natives is what it is.
Yeah, not many natives around here.
So,
a couple in town.
I gotcha.
And you're in the Newcastle region of the country, right near beautiful Lake. What is the name again?
Lake Macquarie.
Lake Macquarie.
Yeah. Well, that's the lake that we're on.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's just south of Newcastle. It's Australia's biggest saltwater lake. It's quite a big lake.
It actually, so it does feed into the ocean, and there are aquatic ocean life.
Yeah, got sharks.
Pardon?
Yeah, it's a typical part of Australia. You can go in the lake and a shark can kill you.
Wow, that's a scary place, man. Australia is just, there's so many wild, exotic spiders, and oh my god, snakes, and oh no, like who the hell? Why even bother? So
you just got to give them their space, and let's face it, you only see about bush generally, most of them, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And and talking about the sharks in our local lake, no one's ever been attacked.
Okay.
In living memory, so it's not that bad, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like to say, yeah, there is sharks. People see them all the time. But yeah. So I don't go swimming.
Alan, can I ask you a
Like, anyway.
question?
And
Yep.
that was a question.
Alan, have you seen Paul Hogan's new Dundee movie?
Really?
Yeah,
You're
it's
joking.
awesome,
Hogan-
dude.
He did an old. Really?
Yes, it is awesome.
Okay.
Freaking-
And you,
Is there?
He moved,
what's he done?
moved- he's come out with his own. He came out with a new Dundee movie, and
Yeah.
Dundee movie. Oh, really?
and it's him playing himself, and he moves to California after Crocodile Dundee movies, and it's just amazing. He put it together, and it's funny as heck.
Is it a documentary?
No, it's an actual movie. It's none of it's real, I guess, but all through the movie he keeps messing up. I mean, real bad, and it's like in today's world with how everybody's politically correct and the whole woke thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Crocodile Dundee, Paul Hogan.
He
Where
keeps
did you see it?
torrent. Anyways, let's check it out. We'll encourage people to check it out. Then I'm looking forward to that. So, UK judges order robust inquiry into MI5 false evidence. Well, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. What that was all over exactly, I'm not 100% clear on. Maybe some of our British audience members will want to dig a little deeper. Embalmers reporting the persistent clots in corpses since COVID rolled out. The same thing we can't talk about, but it's killing a lot of people. So
yes.
Isn't that something? That's the way. Trust the fake science. The muzzled, strangled science. So the censored science. China reveals blackout bomb. Here's all about the mysterious Actually, they target, I guess largely it goes for electronic communications, like infrastructure, is what I picked up in looking at that. So, Trump recently now declared the most popular Republican president ever, and this is on CNN. Where they had to cop to this. At the same time, there was another piece that came our way just recently. I don't know if any of our American friends have heard about this, but pride in their country has, I don't know if it's fallen to record lows. It's not doing well. So that's if that's a paradox, I don't know what is, but yeah, Trump popular, but pride in the country not so much. And you got to wonder with what's going to happen now. Do you remember how those right-wing media influencers were used with the phase one of the Epstein revelations? You know how do you remember that, where they're all, I think it was the White House, they're standing out in front of, and with a big photo op, trying to score a few political points that way. And speaking of Mike Cernovich and the like, so nobody saw that, I guess. But anyways, they must be feeling a little bit somewhat foolish right now with where things currently stand and how it seems like the cover up is just, it's going to continue. At the same time, what I will say is, yes, that I can see how the Trump administration could use this as leverage, just as the FBI under Hoover did during all of his time in office. He had the goods, mostly sexual blackmail material. Some, both, Hoover was the biggest sucker, that probably ever walked the planet. And he was a transvestite, I guess. Is that what they call them? Just men who, like with Ed Wood. It's like I enjoy the feel of the women, the cut of
Yeah, that's what they used to call it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I was
Yeah.
getting ready to say too.
But
Like now it's transgender, correct? Same
no,
thing.
no, because they're not doing any operation. They're just dressed. They're wearing women's clothing. J. Edgar Hoover just dressed up. He like he was a queer who liked to dress up in women's clothing. Not all gay men do that. I don't think. I
Well,
don't.
that's transgender isn't gay. There's straight men that do that. That's exactly what it is. They just, I mean,
What?
they're straight men, and I mean, it's the same exact thing.
Okay, but
They just change the
transgender,
name.
but you're undergoing an
The straight men with a
operation.
mental illness.
Well,
Yeah, it's a mental
Sorry.
illness.
oh, not anymore. No. I don't think it used to be, but not anymore. Not since the whole
Yeah,
whole
mental illness has
PC.
always been mental illness.
Well,
Mhm.
but see, but that's where they can label. That's what it's called, labeling theory. They can label what we do here as mental illness. Freud, any mundane activity whatsoever, at whatsoever. So Freud, for example, when people would misspeak, or it's the smallest little thing that was, seemingly out of line, or that he could easily, like for example, what I just did there, pausing before going on then to finish your sentence. Aha, you can seize upon that and write a whole dissertation regarding the matter. And presumably there are those who have, and it's like, bore me to tears. But so it's labeling theory. Really, is they're labeling, seizing upon some behavior or some just normal way that people are, and have that entered into the diagnostical statistical manual, right? The DSM. What is it now? 5? Is that what it is? DSM 5. It's a growth industry too. It's a growth industry. The book keeps getting bigger. It's like, oh, we're finding more mental. And remember the term itself, dis-ease. In other words,
Yeah,
ill at
there's
ease.
lots more mental illness lately.
Okay, there's a difference between illness and dis-ease, right? Because dis-ease means you're not at ease, right? So you're
Yeah.
ill at ease, you could say. That's why meditation, calming meditation. That's one of the points, the reasons that we do that. Focus breathing, just letting stuff go. You have some crazy thoughts like stressed or worry or whatever come to mind,
Dressing up like women.
regret, and just drop it back to the breath. That's just space, man. It's mostly space, anyways. What we have here, right? It's a
Must be
space.
something wrong with me. Must be something wrong with me. I don't stress about fuck all. Excuse
Well,
language,
you're
F-bomb.
probably pretty enlightened.
Yeah, well, yeah. You got to just live and let live, and don't worry about things that you can't fix.
There you go, man. Like you're probably a little wiser than maybe what some people give you credit for. Because
Yeah, well, I can be
happy.
stupid sometimes too.
Well, but that's, I think, a little.
I'm not
Yeah,
stupid.
yeah.
Yeah.
But like my mom
just
used to talk about my mom. We're gonna do a memorial for her back in Canada. She passed away just this past January from COPD, but also she had these underlying comorbidities, and she took the kill shots. And that was probably, I mean, she was not in good shape anyways, but
yes.
I can imagine they were definitely a contributing factor. I would have loved to have seen her arteries and what they possible clotting that they pulled out of her. So, but
Feel for you, mate.
she wouldn't listen to anyone really. But happy-go-lucky. That's one of the things in eulogizing her. I would like to just remind people that was one of her things. I would hear from her time and again. Happy-go-lucky, happy-go-lucky. but she'd usually be talking about other people in that sense. Like, oh, so they seem really happy-go-lucky. That person seems really happy-go-lucky. Just kind of just, no, it's okay, man. Happy-go-lucky. So, but ultimately, that's in many ways how she was. Even though, when she drank, it was not good. I saw that growing up. I saw some not so very nice things as a kid growing up between with the parents. Alcohol fueled stupidity, basically, is what it boils down to. That's about it. So we all know about that.
Alcohol can be a bad thing at times. I've seen a bit myself, sort of thing, because I'm a bit of a drinker.
Too much.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm drinking a lot less now than I did. Well, shall we say, when we first met.
You look better too. Actually, I was just going to say that you have a. I'm not really one who sees or reads auras, but you have your energy. Maybe it's just the lighting. I don't know, but you look better.
The sun's shining through the window.
Have you cut down on smoking as well?
Yes, I have. Yeah. Giving the smokes away.
What?
That might be part of it too.
What?
Yeah.
You totally stopped cold turkey?
I go down to the pub every now and then and have a cigar.
Okay.
But, I don't smoke at home or at work or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, because. Well, I had to do it.
I did too, years ago, 10, 12 years ago, and decided, because I'd say, do I live or slow suicide? Painful, probably too. Live or slow suicide. So, and I'm glad I stopped. And it was just a short time prior to that, I read that if you stop smoking by the time you're 40, chances are, your health your body and everything will greatly thank you as a result. You will not suffer as much as people who typically continue. So and now especially I don't want to end up like she did. And she smoked to excess though, and but she gave up drinking many years prior, thank God. And so she was smart to have done that, obviously. But happy go lucky. Yeah, so that's kind of how you are yourself there, Alan. Very much. And
hey, thank you.
I think
I guess I am.
Sonia is too.
Yeah.
Maybe even Chris. I don't know about Roger though. He's a bit of a mystery. A bit of a.
Yes. The serious man is Roger sometimes. Seriously.
Oh man. No,
we always talk about serious.
He's not as bad as Angel, thank God, but he's
I'm not serious at all. Like if you guys actually watched any of my other stuff, you'd see like I'm a nut.
No insult intended.
Well,
I've got to be serious when I'm on Jaffe's show because he gets mad at me.
What are you talking about?
Puts me on the poop deck and makes me.
No, you put yourself up on the poop deck.
What the F is a poop deck?
That's exactly what it says, man. That's exactly what it says. That's where you would go up and do your thing. Back in the day, absolutely. Just what it says.
Poop deck.
I imagine it's you hang your ass over the edge of the boat or something, wouldn't
you? We got Alan up there, by the way. I'm not sure if Alan wants to jump into the conversation here. Have you had a chance to check out any of the talking points, Alan? I want to talk about Black Sabbath and Oasis. Speaking of maybe lightening things up a little bit and not taking ourselves so seriously.
Black Sabbath, you want to talk about Ozzy Osbourne?
Yeah, retiring and all that good stuff and Parkinson's. And
he was in the news just recently, too. Something about his wife taking over or something or stopped him from going back on tour. I'm not exactly sure, but I did see it in the headlines recently.
What are you talking about? He's not going back on tour.
There was something that was just on, it was Yahoo News, which I trust as far as I can throw sponge cake underwater, but nonetheless, it was something about his wife, and
I'm gonna have to steal that one. Sponge cake
and she stopped him going to a concert that he was supposed to appear at. Now, whether he was showing up as a guest or whatever, I don't know, but
he might be doing that on occasion. Like, come on, let's just Ozzy, come on. Yeah. Like he's said, and I think this makes great sense, as with Paul McCartney, whose voice now is shot. You know, like give me a come
I
on.
actually got to see one of Paul's shows in Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what years ago? When?
Oh yeah, it was years ago. It was back in late '80s, early '90s.
Ah, I think it was my sister saying that like he was there for God, it's so draining too. The 2.5 hours nonstop, never even stopped for like hardly even a sip of water.
Yeah, that's true. That the show I went to lasted like 2 hours and 10, 15 minutes or so. I mean, it was just continuous, and it was actually very well presented. I normally when you go to a concert, it's all just one, flashing of lights, and that's about it. But no, he had a lot of presentation there for that show.
A lot of changes, transformation, stage
Yeah,
production.
the entire stage. They had a Steinway they brought out for all good people and stuff like that. And
how does the melody to that one go? I'm not familiar with that one.
I couldn't. I don't recall. I'm not. I may have been a DJ for years, and if the song plays, I can follow along. But without it, I suck.
We want a little a cappella, Alan. Come on, this is what the people have paid to. This is our little show that we put together here, and it's what the concert goers have paid to see. So and hear.
Well, it's been a wild ride. I'll just tell you that.
All good people, I guess. Yeah. Oh, with McCartney, his career.
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of my favorites is Flaming Pie. I just Flaming Pie. The reason I like it is it's kind of laid back, acoustic, and the Egyptian Station. I had the opportunity to listen to that a while back. I'd like to check it out again, actually, and just so much music out there these days that it's tough to choose what you want to do. But I'm the man on the flaming pie. You know how the Beatles got their name, right?
No, I didn't know how the Beatles got. How did they?
Look to the sky. There was a little man on a spaceship. There was a flaming pie. Said, "You are Beatles, not with the E, but with an A. I hereby do decree." And then he shot off into space and disappeared, never to be seen again. So who knows? Maybe there was some, because John did have a sighting in '74 that people, the walls and bridges liner notes is where he talks about that. He just lays it out explicitly for his people that purchased that item, walls and bridges, and that was during his, I guess, Lost Weekend era, time with May Pang, and people could look into that themselves if they'd like to, of course. But years prior, the man on the flaming pie. That's all people have to do. Use AI, Chat GPT or something. It'll probably give you a pretty good. Although, like with Wikipedia, I would, and that's why we need to press Chat GPT and AI and press them and ask, well, what about this and what about that? And I've noticed that it'll respond often by saying, "Oh yes, that's right. You raise a good point." But what they've done up to that point is it was like a limited hangout. they held back. They would hope that maybe you didn't know the full story, any more of the details. So, but Flaming Pie as an example where who knows what happened back in the day. That's a story though. Man on the Flaming Pie, great song off that. There's a title cut off of McCartney's album that came out maybe circa 92, something like that, I guess, perhaps, maybe a little earlier. But also Brando and the Wild One. And like, yeah, Johnny, the Beatles. Remember that scene with Marvin, who sang that Wandering Star? Marvin, not Marvin Gaye, although he was pretty It's the way he leaned in that direction. Marvin Gaye. Stories I've heard. Marvin, who sang I Was Born Under a Wandering Star? It's interesting too. It's interesting, a little bit of trivia here. The Beatles kind of callback, as it were, because he knocked Let It Be, I believe, out of the first place position on the charts with that. And he was the same Lee Marvin. Yeah, Johnny, I do it for Johnny and the Beatles. And so the Wild One with Brando came out in what, 56? Everyone's seen that movie, haven't they? But yeah, so that's interesting kind of tie-in, sort of callback, the trivia-wise, with Lee Marvin in that movie, and he's the guy that's shouting that out. And then, as it turns out, some 14, 15 years down the road, with that Wandering Star, which is one of the songs from Paint Your Wagon with Clint Eastwood.
Man, you know more about this than I ever would.
Well, it's like a little.
Yeah, I remember all this stuff. Yeah, that's definitely. Yeah. But yeah, gee, what a memory.
Yeah, and I'm trying just to lay it out for people who are. It's just Mr. Jaffe, the trivia guy, yeah. So it's really kind of cool. Look it up if you're interested, folks. Do a ChatGPT search for how did the Beatles get their name, and then press the. It's not what does AI stand for?
Alien intelligence.
Oh, hey, come on, you're
artificial intelligence.
You're ripping me off, man. You smart ass.
I did. That was from last night. Yeah, that wasn't too long ago.
He was.
Come on now, yeah, that was a trick question. You suckered me on that one.
Yeah, last night.
Yeah, I think you just last night that you said that, wasn't it?
You guys didn't say it. I was just with Robert on the Morning Star Report, and which can be heard twice a week. Mondays and Sundays. Sunday afternoon at what time, Alan? Monday evening, 10 o'clock, I believe, 10 o'clock p.m. East Coast. So Revolution Radio. Yes, indeed. But
it's something like that. The time.
Sundays at 3.
The time differences got me all messed up.
All right, don't worry about it. So just do a search for it.
You can catch them on Home Network .tv at noon Central, Monday through Friday.
Alien intelligence. How about that? I mean, a lot of people say artificial intelligence. Well, yeah, artificial alien intelligence. See, the thing is, program or be programmed, because they're smartphones, right? So that we get these smart tech. It's like, oh, smart tech here, smart tech there. Well, why not spy tech? I mean, who's telling us smart tech? It's the people that are selling the products to the public. Is there a law that says you must repeat and parrot what these industries are? I mean, this goes right into the whole mind control agenda, which we really should focus on here for the last 10-15 minutes. Just getting an update here. That's all we've got left, this last final portion to this week's live stream. But yeah, mind control, government itself, the term meaning gubermente, to control the mind. If you look at the Latin, it's that simple. Anytime we see the ment, mente, development, testament, firmament, mental, of course, that we should be. Okay, Robert is calling us up here. This is not. I don't know what happens if I don't know if I want to answer this call. Yeah.
Good to go.
No, I don't know. Let's see. Should we try to add him? Could somebody try to add him? But anyways, where were we with that? Oh yes, the programming and mind control. What do we have there in the we have Tavistock Institute, for example, MK Ultra. We've got Freud, his nephew, Roger. I knew I was going to blow this one. Edward Bernays. Bernays, you know, and then it's like teaching women that, because there was the longest time women, it was not womanly to be smoking cigarettes, but the campaign was to in people's minds to repackage and represent them, reform victory torches. This is, I think, around the time of different wars, you know. So, yeah, victory, lights of liberty.
Hello?
Robert Morningstar, is that you? Hello.
There
Welcome.
he is.
Avast me hearty.
Good day, Robert.
I tried to call you back. Hello, everybody. Hey.
We got 10 minutes. We got 10 minutes. We were just, speak of the devil. We were just referencing you and your show.
Oh, thank you. I tried to call you back to WPRPN, and it didn't show that you were online, and no green light. But thanks for calling back. Briefly, I did send you all, those of you who are on my list, a report about the floods in Texas having been precipitated by a cloud seeding program that was run by Peter Thiel.
We've covered that already, but let's hear your take on it. Just warrants repeating, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy named Dorico, who runs the company that's owned by Peter Thiel, they did a cloud seeding program on June 2nd, and then he claims that they stopped it and had nothing to do with it. But the fallacy is that he's trying to convince you that cloud seeding has instantaneous results, and that's fake. There's a time element involved.
Yeah.
He seeded the clouds, and then he shut it down. But if they created a low pressure area, it would suck in the moisture from the Gulf of America and the precipitation nuclei. The seeds that he planted would still be there and would cause the torrential downpour. On top of the fact that somehow the winds just stopped blowing.
They knew exactly what they were doing, and owning the weather by 2025, weather modification as a force multiplier. That's the kicker. There's a force multiplier.
On X 2 days ago, somebody who monitors microwave transmissions caught a burst of microwaves that came out of the Gulf of Mexico and just spread like that across the coast of Texas and Louisiana. But the center of this wave was apparently aimed. The center of that sweep was right at that central Texas area. The other thing I want to give you guys in the chat is something that I'm working on right now. So what's really going on in
the Epstein case?
The Epstein case. They're showing us video of a door they didn't show us before.
With 1 minute missing.
Yeah, with 1 minute missing. But what I want to share with you is this really important essay about what's really going on in this 1,000-year war between Russia and the Khazarians. This guy really put it together a long time ago. So I am getting the link, which I'm going to put right into the chat. So
Khazarian Mafia.
Well, the Khazarian Mafia is over 1,000 years old, and this fellow wrote this in 1979. But it's extremely timely for us to know what the real deal is with Vladimir. It was a king of Russia named Vladimir. Took them on 1,000 years ago. Rurik, the first king of the Rus. It's the Khazarians were intolerable tyrants and murderers, and they conquered a lot of Central Asia, and they had everyone basically living in fear and paying extortion. So they became such a problem that the Byzantine Empire, the Muslim Caliphate, and the Russians got together, and together they kicked their butts.
Hold it. Let's hear the Byzantines, the Muslims, and
the Russians, the Russian Orthodox.
Wow.
The three of them got together in a coalition and went in there, and they got the Khazars, and they forced them. The Russians forced the Khazars to adopt a religion, one of the three great religions.
Well, that was 1,200 years ago, approximately.
Yeah, right. So we're talking about 740 to 860, and then 1,000 AD. It's an ongoing thing, and this is what's happening in Ukraine. And this article very cogently points out that this is an ongoing war, and that Zionism is Khazarianism, and that they just want to destroy Russia. They want to conquer Russia again. So also embedded in this article is a discussion of nuclear war, with a comparison of all the nuclear weapons that the U.S. and U.S., Russia, China have. And well, they don't mention Israel too much, but I sent you something yesterday, which was from an Israeli guy. I don't really know him, but this Israeli guy named Koba sent it to me, and he was quoting Moshe Dayan, saying, "We have to be like mad dogs in dealing with these people," and the threat saying, "If Israel goes down, we're going to nuke everything, including Europe." We talked about that last night.
But Moshe Dayan, for the uninitiated, let's have you unpack that for.
Yeah, he was a famous general in the 6-Day War and the 73 War. He's very famous for wearing the black patch.
Attack on the USS Liberty.
Well, that was the same period. Yep. He was a field general, but he was involved in the attack on the Liberty because they all were sanctioning it, trying to pin the sinking of the Liberty. If they had succeeded, they were going to pin it on Egypt so that Lyndon Johnson would declare war on Egypt and hopefully nuke them. So this is what they're still up to. But read this article, because this article really clarifies the real Jewish Orthodox position that Israel and Zionism are an abomination. And a Rabbi Teitelbaum died in 1979, and they took out a full-page ad in the New York Times telling his position on Zionism and what a threat Zionism is to Jewish people. So let's not include everyone in it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry, I've lost a couple of friends, and I've consolidated my friendship with other rabbis who see eye to eye with me. And thanks, Alan. Thank you for your note. I'm glad, and share it. It's really one of the most important articles that I've come across. It's very short and succinct, and it tells the real story. There's another thing. I'd like everybody to go to archive.org and open an account. It's free. For me, archive.org is the Alexandrian library of our century.
That's right.
And I gave you John Mumford's book last night.
That's right.
And tonight I found something called the Dictionary of the Khazars, which was written by a Yugoslavian expert. And he tells the story of the Khazars in the form of a dictionary and these three books, the green book, the yellow book, and the red book. And they kind of run parallel with slight distinctions. One is the Christian telling, one is the Muslim telling, and the other one is the Jewish telling of the conversion of the Khazars. And it's really worth reading. And actually, I'll say this. There are two versions of it. The author wrote what he said, the male version and the female version. And the difference between the two books was one paragraph. And he didn't, so you had to read the two books to find the paragraph. And I was able to. I did.
It's that.
It's
It's Adam's rib. Adam's rib.
Yeah. I'm glad I caught up with you guys, and
Yeah.
it's good to see you all. And I hope
we've only got like 2-3 minutes here. So Robert, Morningstar on Substack, of course. We always add your contact information to the.
Okay, I'll put it in. I'll type it in.
No, yeah, we've always got it. We're actually going to mute you out for now, Robert, because that darn feedback loop that we only get with him for some reason. It must be just the way that things are set up on his end of the operation there. But Roger Hansen, anything more you'd like to add to how people can contact you? You can quite easily be found via Minds and elsewhere. You're doing a lot of work with Drigas Productions these days, is that right?
I'm doing a lot of work with everybody, and I'm doing stuff on my own too. So if you're on the internet and you're looking for Roger Hansen and you can't find me, you're an idiot. That's all I gotta say. I'm there.
That's a great way. That's how to win friends and influence people. That's the way.
I know. I people tell me I need to work on that, but I just whatever, dude. You know.
Actually, no. What you're being authentic. You're not beating around the bush. You're trying to be too phony baloney. So good for you. Alan Mosdale, Amos Dale 777.
Yeah, pretty much Amos 777 on YouTube. I plan on doing the show within the next couple of days, and I'm going to part of that little 1,000-year battle. That's going to be part of the show now.
Oh boy,
you know what I mean? Because that's stuff. That sparked an interest, and it makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
Yeah. It does, absolutely.
Yeah. So anyway, keep an eye out for that on YouTube or DLive or Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Rumble. I'm on Rumble now too.
Yeah. I think we should be up there before too long as well. I guess they've tried to make it easier for dummies like us to get our act together in the live streaming end of things over on Rumble. So galacticfire.com, Sonia, and then Alan finally, I guess, Home Network TV. Sonia, anything more you'd like to add? Last 30 seconds before they cut us off?
Nope, we're good. Galacticfire.com.
Who do we got coming up this week as a feature guest?
This week we have Jack Carey.
Oh, I thought that was next week.
No, I believe it's this week. Jack Carey.
Okay. And
I'll double check for you.
Yeah, and who do we have on the 18th?
That should be Coley Weber.
Okay, it's not the other way around. It's one or the other.
Yeah, it's one or the other.
All
I'm not quite sure offhand.
Okie doke. And thank you. And Alan, HomeNetwork.tv. Anything more?
No, I'm good, man. Thank you so much for having me, though.
Dig the Rambo mouse. It's a pretty macho kind of mouse there for sure. Raw, you know.
Yeah, I put that in AI. It's supposed to be a fully automatic coffee maker.
Semper Fi.
And it come out, yeah.
Semper Fi cheese.
It's the coffee in his hand, yeah.
Good stuff. All right, hold my beer, hold my cheese. So, and there we go. We got cut off right at the 1 hour mark, pretty much. Why the elites don't want you to remember Lemuria. I wonder, well, hey, think about it, people. Our occulted history, knowledge and power, the clerical classes down through history, esoteric knowledge, exoteric, the knowledge, what they put out for the sheep, the herd, and then the secret knowledge for the initiated. So, just trying to unfreeze our computer here, if we can manage that. Get this to cooperate with us. Canada being governed right into the ground. Yeah, peace, order, and good government. In America, it's all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The right to private property. Very anti-communism, obviously. Meanwhile, Canada, peace, order, and good government. Well, we're not having much in the way of good government these days. One could certainly make the argument for, and there's no reason that we shouldn't be. It's gross incompetence. Yet they continue to race right along, completely unchecked and unabated. So, no, if you ask me, Canada is long overdue for political reform, legal reform, financial reform, probably judicial reform. I mean, there used to be a reform party in place back in the day, run by Preston Manning. It had a Western separatist type spirit to it. And reform is problematic, of course, because the question always arises, what kind of reform exactly, and for what reasons, whose interests does it serve? We'll see if this Western alienation business continues to be something that weighs heavily upon the conscience of Canadians. The economy, not hearing too many positive things. In fact, ever since Castro got into power, and now with really the man who was the puppet master in many ways, pulling the strings from behind the scenes during Castro's 8 to 10 years in power, that now he's at the helm. And it was a pretty crooked way that he went about achieving that, but what more could you really expect? Some $75 billion misappropriated, just magically finding its way into the hands of various special interests that ultimately, this is right on the eve of the recent Canadian election, so quid pro quo. And I think that's about it, essentially. Regarding Diddy, who are we kidding? Diddy always gets off, whether baby oil is on hand or not. What do you expect? But and Carney planning to bankrupt Canada. There's a lot more to things than what meets the eye. So doing a hell of a job. CDC reporting that, or rather, that the CDC autism study showing that over 1,000% elevated risk in Buffalo children, the kids that took the kill shots, I believe, just as the schedule that they are exposed to as children growing up in America, as compared to Korea, where it's a lot more moderate and modest. Has aluminum now been taken out of the said kill shots? Mercury as well. That didn't please Big Pharma too much, did it? What's the problem there? What's the issue exactly? And also this dream regarding the Dalai Lama, someone that we featured just this past week, picked up a fair deal of traction over on YouTube for some reason, more than what we usually do. Surprised that they didn't take the show down as with what they did. Did they give us a spark when we had our Willie Nelson 90th year birthday celebration special out there? We kind of beat them to the punch, as it were. We're ahead of the game, and because of that, there was a little more traffic that was coming our way to check out and see what it was that we were potentially offering, similar to the Dalai Lama, and up close to nearly 200 views now altogether. So that's good news. As far as everything that we have is organic as well. We don't buy bot support of any kind, and a lot of times, keep in mind, there's so much fuckery that's taking place clear across the board, folks. Just use your imagination. It's not too difficult to, as far as net neutrality is concerned. I mean, give me a break. The interwebs are it's about the furthest you can imagine from genuine, real, authentic net neutrality. Totally hijacked by special interests. The algorithm game, the shadow banning that so many people are made to endure, demonetization, so on and so forth. It's really quite sad. But hey, that's just the way that this world is. It's nobody ever said the world was going to be a fair place, did they? So, recently dreaming of the Dalai Lama. Speaking of the show that we produced just this past Friday, because I had a dream in the lead up to us putting the show together. Maybe that's what helped really inspire me to do what we did, although it didn't really have to take too much convincing. But I met him and a small retinue in a dream, and he just entered into this area where at first he was looking off in another direction, then we made eye contact. He came over to me, maybe we met in the middle, and it was the meeting of two minds. So we just put our foreheads together, shared a little laugh, and exchange of energy, loving kindness. If there's one thing that the world is filled with to the brim already, it's misery, suffering, all sorts of negative psychological afflictions, not to mention the physical and beyond. But so spiritual guidance is what it's said to represent: compassion, kindness, inner peace, cultural connection. And I've been a lazy practicing, what you want to say, couch Buddhist in this life, at least for over 30 years now. It's crazy the way time flies. So, not that I'm really a devout follower per se of anyone or any one set of teachings. I'll just just do basic meditation, this shamatha, this calm abiding. We all need to wind down and relax at times, right? It's said to be good for us, essentially, lowering blood pressure or what have you. There's also Vipassana, which is more an insight approach. And then Tong Lin is something that one of my teachers suggested I take a look at. You could call it a higher type teaching. So many people, when they get involved in Tibetan, or sometimes known as Tantric Vajrayana Buddhism, they're not aware of how supposedly it can really mess you up if you're not sufficiently grounded. It can really feed into your ego. People can get carried away a little too much, so cause all kinds of problems. It's so critical to stay grounded and just cultivate that loving kindness, the metta. So clear across the board, though, once again, Four Noble Truths. You find that in all various Buddhist traditions, Theravada, Mahayana, and Tantric, which is said to be, in some regards, it's like a heretical Mahayana offshoot. We won't get into that right now, but three poisons: hatred, ignorance, and lust, essentially, or desire. Three marks of existence: suffering, impermanence, and non-egolessness. so on and so forth. Just, it's the basics, the paramitas, basic virtues, the 5 precepts: no killing, stealing, lying, sexual immorality, or taking of intoxicants. So largely alcohol related, from what I understand. But it's getting to a bit of an argument or debate when it comes to that whole issue, if only because of Sokka Munis, Shakya Munis, these Sokka, really critical people. Take note of that. The Sogdians, the Scythian people from the Silk Roads, there's Eastern Iran, Afghanistan. I forget exactly where they. I think it would be the Near East, essentially on the Silk Roads. They were traders, not like turncoat, hopefully stab you in the back traders, not that type, but people doing, working commerce, buying and selling goods along the Silk Roads during the Han Dynasty was when they really seem to have flourished, and may have played an instrumental role in connecting East to West historically. I believe, in fact, there's an ancient, very little known connection via South Korea, as a matter of fact, with the Soka end of things. And Prince Shotoku, the prince who went to Japan via South Korea, he was part of the royal family who was ultimately driven out after 2 not quite successful attempts on the part of the Shilla dynasty. So they were Baekje royals driven out west. And then on a 3rd attempt, I don't think they swam, probably got on boats and circled around over to Japan. And that's where Prince Shotoku, a member of the Soka clan, worked quite, he was very instrumental in helping to spread Buddhism across Japan. So, yeah, fascinating, the world of dreams. Look at it in so many different ways. And various takes and interpretations. So, yeah, I'd like to hear your thoughts, what you think of any or all of the, as many as you can at least, items that we've covered this week. Pirate One Radio at Proton Mail is our email address. If you have any PayPal donations, of course, show suggestions or guest ideas, our schedule's starting to fill up quite nicely. Can't say enough good things about the support that Sonia Galactic has provided. She's really stepped up in a big way and deserves all sorts of credit for her efforts. Roger Hansen's doing a heck of a job. We thank DK as well for working to simulcast and provide us with syndication support this go around. Everyone that left their thoughts and comments here via the Peanut Gallery. You got Gully Rat dropping in right at the tail end of things. As a result of chemtrailing, goodbye deep blue skies. Look at older color photos from pre-80s, 90s, a softer whitish blue colored skies now. Yeah. Goodbye deep blue skies, says Gully Rat. Archive.org is great. Do you think it's the same Putin now as it was back in the 90s? Asked Jethro. That's a good question. Been watching chemtrails the past few decades. In my opinion, the manipulation of the longer-term weather patterns to gain expected results. That's quite possible, isn't it? Absolutely. And once again, owning the weather by 2025. The U.S. Air Force has it right there in their own documents. They laid it out. These are open secrets. Just simply most people are too lazy to read or to investigate, even just to mention or talk about these matters. Tesla technology, scalar weaponry, HARP technology, full spectrum dominance, folks, right down to every last little nanoparticulate. Even as of late, I've been having to suffer from and endure this, say, oh gosh, what is the term? Neuropathy. Now, we've put tinfoil, ha ha ha, not tinfoil hats, but tinfoil computer screens at night, because where I crash out, it's close to the laptop, and it's proven quite effective. The wife says that she's been sleeping a lot better as a result of that. So, but this is something that they're gunning for. I mean, they will weaponize everything, and we are the targets. So it seems that ultimately it is the total liquidation of all humanity, wiping clear off the face of the earth in a covert manner as possible, gaslighting all the way to the bank. So keep in touch, folks. Be sure as well to check out the main website, WPRPN.com, galacticfire.com as well. Don't forget, we've got all of that great merchandise that Sonia has helped put together via galacticfire.com, TeePublic, Teespring. Open to any ideas you may have regarding whatever happens to be on your mind, of course. Whether it's marketing, sales, creative design, technological upgrades, if simply everyone can just contribute what time and abilities they have available and on hand, then we can work to better build things up so that ultimately over time this truly does become the people's pirate network. Whether we have Mr. Carey, and that's not Jim Carey either, but Jack Carey, or one of the other guests that Sonia has booked for us this Friday. I couldn't quite tell you at this point. We'll have to double check. In either case, it's guaranteed to be a great show. Same time as with the way that we've done the news this week, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time out on the West Coast. 11 via the East, Miami, Toronto, New York, so on and so forth. Mind control, gubermente. Let's not ever forget about that, folks. Standing on guard, forever vigilant. On behalf of Captain Long John Sinclair and all the rest of the crew here, down in Skullport Harbor, until we meet again via these high, often all too intrepid digital seas, I'm your host as always, the show's Chief Communications Officer, Jaffe Ryder, reminding you, keep your ear to the ground and eyes to the sky. Tally-ho!